We've got some breaking news here in CBS Sports HQ where the Browns-Bills game will be going from Orchard Park, New York, to Detroit, Michigan. The Bills announcing due to a public safety concern issue and out of abundance of caution in the light of ongoing weather and that emergency in Western New York, Sunday's game against the Browns will be moved to Ford Field in Detroit. And the last time a snowstorm forced a league to move a game out of Buffalo was in 2014. That year, Bills and Jets played on a Monday night in Detroit. Buffalo won the game 38-3, and tickets were given out for free while Ford Field wasn't quite full. 56,000 plus attended the game. And after this game, the Bills are scheduled to play and stay in Detroit on Thanksgiving. Back here with our analysts, Brian McFadden and Lige Dusable. Speaking of 2014
why you had to bring that up, Tommy?
I brought it up because it's a fact, and you just happen to be a part of that and experience that. Tell us what that is like.
It wasn't great, 38-3, but the thing was, like, we really thought we were going to win that game because Buffalo, at that point, I think the storm got up on them. Players were literally had to get dug out of their house. I remember seeing images from Buffalo of, the team driving around in tractors and getting guys out of there so they could fly to Detroit and play us on that Monday night that you talked about. So we really thought we were going to have the upper hand because they struggled. I don't even think they practiced that week. They may have missed 2 days of practice that week. This is a little different. I think they're ahead of it because of what happened in 2014. So the Bills have practiced this week. Seems like they most likely probably get out of there today and get to Detroit and get ready. And it's not a long flight to Detroit. It's literally maybe an hour, 45 minutes to Detroit. So 56,000 fans, Bills Mafia, they're deep. I would not be surprised if they exceed that number in Detroit as they get ready to take on the Browns.
And B-Mac, what do you make of the decision coming down now, Thursday afternoon, given you guys are usually on a routine, when you're leaving on a plane? At least this decision is being made earlier in the week with a few days left to go. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I'm okay with the timing of this decision. They probably will practice in Buffalo tomorrow and just travel like a normal road weekend for a game, which would mean they would fly out Saturday. And I think when you look at hearing this news and potentially knowing how much snow would fall on Sunday, this actually helps the Buffalo Bills because they're a team that rely on the arm of Josh Allen. And playing in that type of weather, unless they go get Shady McCoy out of retirement to play in that snow, running the football would have been very, very difficult for them. Granted, it's been hard to run the football for Buffalo in pretty good conditions so far this season, but trying to run the football in that type of element would be hard. And the same could be said for the Cleveland Browns, but they got Chubb, they got Hunt, they got an offensive line that don't mind leaning on opposing defenders in the trenches. So they would have felt more comfortable in that type of condition compared to the Buffalo Bills. So moving it indoors, knowing that your quarterback is already dealing with an injury and knowing that you guys love to throw the football, play in and play out, this actually helps the Buffalo Bills.
And let's keep it with that theme because as of the announcement minutes after the league made the move and Buffalo and Cleveland will now play the game in Detroit, Caesar Sportsbook and other books have taken the game off the board for now, meaning the bookmakers have to recalibrate, change of venue, what this does for the teams. At last check, it was 8 or 8.5, Bills laying that big number. Lige, I'm going to hand it to you. What do you think the new number is going to be and or should be?
I don't think it changes much, really. Again, I talked about it. The travel for Buffalo isn't that far, and like B-Mac said, they'll probably leave either tomorrow or early Saturday morning, depending on when that lake effect snow is actually supposed to come in. So you said it was at 8.5. I think it's going to stay at either 8 or 8.5. I don't think the number is going to change much, just because they're not going to a far venue. It'd be one thing if they were traveling to the West Coast or maybe even all the way down south. I think the number stays around 8, 8.5.
B-Mac?
Yeah, I agree. I think it stays around 8.5. I think understanding and knowing, what happened a week ago for both teams, to say the least, and knowing that Josh Allen is probably going to play better football against a defense that he should have a matchup in his favor against. I don't expect to see a lot of a line movement. I actually thought this line, being that it's 8.5, probably would go down closer to game time if it was still to happen in Buffalo, granted, understanding and knowing the conditions. But I don't expect to see any line movement at all. I think if you guys got it at 8.5, kudos to you. But one thing I expect to see some movement in regards to the total, right? I think the total we might see some movement in the total. I can't remember exactly what it was for the game to be slated in Buffalo, but knowing that it will be indoors and the likelihood of seeing more points is more likely, we might see an increase in regards to the total.
Yeah, that total was going to be 42.5, and it was going to be trending downward, not upward in that fact. So I think we're all in agreement again with the line there. If somehow you see your book immediately posting anything around 7, boy, take Buffalo, because I think that's getting them at a much discounted rate given everything they got.
Yeah.
And perhaps bookmakers will be able to set that and then see the action come down fairly quickly. BMAX, certainly appreciate it as always. And Lige, I know you're going to stick around a little bit more to break things down. I want to remind everybody about BMAX podcast with Patrick Peterson. Oh, he had some big play in Buffalo last weekend. What a wild finish between the Vikings and the Bills, arguably the best finish we've seen in quite some time. All things covered with Patrick Peterson and our guy BMAX. Scan that QR code today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.